2014 Kia Sorento. I'm just going to let you observe the noise first because this is what I'm dealing with. There's a P0014 and it's an exhaust oil control valve over advanced. I think it was that. It was exhaust oil. Let me see. Exhaust cam position timing over advanced or exhaust system performance. Let me turn it off. Right, so I'll save you the backstory about this car because I honestly didn't want it to I didn't want to repair it. But long story short, they made some phone calls and wanted it here because last person there thought it needed oil control valves. You know, being that it was oil control valve code, they threw a part at it and it didn't fix it. Now, since it was the exhaust, he did replace the exhaust, but did not replace the front, which it still wouldn't have fixed it, but he couldn't find it. I don't know. But when I got it, I've been messing with it, looking at PID data for like 20 minutes, because it's got a lot of noise going on here. From like timing chain slap, it sounds like followers, or it sounds like there's some issues with the high pressure pump. I mean, it has a lot going on. And of course, the first thing I do is check the oil, and I'll tell you why I'm just in the conclusion now. I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm not doing any more diagnosing of this. It needs a motor. But I don't know. I will go a little further and just take the oil control valves out, look at the screens, and we'll see what it looks like. But it's going to need a motor, and we'll look at a context clue as to why shortly. But I did look at some PID data. Of course, I looked at the oil control actuator positions, the desired versus expected versus actual. So you have a desire, what the engine wants, and then the actual position. I tried to control the oil actuators. They work. Everything works fine. The thing is I was just in that purgatory, like that phase of whether do I need to go a little further, do I scope it to do a cam crank correlation, do I start pulling the valve cover off, doing visual inspections, and it was because it's a lot of noises. Even cylinder 2, I put the what do they call it, device, a little stethoscope, the thingamabob that you put on your ear to enhance the sound or wherever you're probing. But I got one of those doohickeys. Put it on cylinder 2 because for some strange reason, cylinder 2 with misfire is retarding the timing, and all the other cylinders are okay, but that's where the noise is favoring that cylinder. So that noise do sound like a follower, like a cam follower for the high pressure pump, but at the same time that noise is favoring cylinder 2. So it could be, depending on how this rocker arm system is set up, something may have been broken, damaged, or compromised at one point, and we got a noise. But let's cut to the chase. I go to look over the rag, and I find this catch my eye. These little metal particulates here. This is metal shavings. Because again, I checked the oil. So I really don't want to give you the whole backstory to why I told the person I didn't want to work on that car from the beginning. But this is just typical neglect. People just don't change their oil in their vehicle. This is what happens. You get worn components. Let's hit a focus. You can see some of those little sparkles showing there. So naturally, they try to fill the oil up, like top the oil off. Let me get my camera stand. When they detect an original issue, and they bought parts because look at it, it's about 2 quarts high. they bought oil. There's remnants of 2 quarts of oil that was purchased in the back. That didn't work, obviously. So they go to AutoZone, get a scan. AutoZone say, hey, you need this part. They buy a part. And I guess that's when I get the text message, hey, how much you charge to put these parts on? So here, yeah, I'm going to tell you the story. So I get the text message with the picture saying how much you charge to put these parts on. I'm always reluctant about putting parts on people's vehicles because I did diagnose it, and the customer 90% of the time, you know what, I take that back. 60% of the time don't have any personal accountability because I do have really good people. So you can emphasize, reiterate, and inform them, hey, I'm not responsible for anything that don't work as a result of their diagnosis. So you put the part on the car, it don't work, it's still your fault. You put it in writing, you're a little bit better off, but you're going to get some lip. So I'd rather not put a part on a person's car who I don't normally deal with on a regular basis, purchase their own parts. That makes sense. So if I've been working on people's cars for years, hey, I want to buy my own parts. No problem. They're good people. Obviously, I'm working on a car for years, so they're good people. This person has history. Another long story short. So I tell the bad thing is I gave a quote. They prepaid. I didn't want any money up front. Like it's always questionable when a person pay up front. Like they sent money via Cash App up front. Like I told her, don't do that. You shouldn't have done that. That money was of course refunded the day the car was supposed to come. But I'll digress. So I told the lady, like, look, I'll put it on for such and such. She sent the money over, and the day it was scheduled to come over, I told her again, like, hey, look, I'm not responsible for anything that goes wrong with the car. Being that I didn't diagnose it, even in text message, we were on the same page. She tells me she's getting the car towed over, and I'm like, hold on, I didn't know the car wasn't running. I didn't know the car needed to get towed. And I told her that is not going to fix the problem. Here's somebody in the background on the phone stating, well, that's not what you told her. So I'm like, no, I have everything in text message stressing to that person that I am not responsible for anything that I install in the car because I didn't diagnose the car. I cannot begin to stress to you how many times I put emphasis on that and ensure that and gave her clarification so we're on the same page. So I told her, she got what, can you just get my money back? All right, look. Sent her money back. Not a big deal. Give her money back. Told her, have a nice day. That was it. Week later, I get a phone call requesting, from the parent that me work on their car. I told her what happened, the parent what happened. And the parent was, been out of service their car for a while. They were like, well, I understand. They were adamant about getting the car sent here because somebody tried to work on the car. And strangely, they put I'm just like, I don't understand. I don't talk about people. I don't talk about other mechanics because I know we do things the best of our abilities. But the ass after this noise that you're hearing, the dude still wound up putting oil control valves on this car. And I understand. You see a code, you naturally just want to replace the part. But even some of the other videos I have, you naturally just can't throw a part of the car because of a code that comes on with check engine light. But I understand this is a weak part with a lot of mechanics. With us, we don't know everything, and diagnosing is a problem. But this noise right here is like really obvious. It's like, well, you could take the money what oil control valves cost and put into a diagnostic feed and ensure that we put the right parts on here. But being that what they quoted the jack leg is to put the part on there, I guess he had to pay him. Then they put the part on, so they can't return that part, and the car still broke. But hey, hope I'm not. I think I went on a tangent, but it's here now. The fucker needs a motor. It's not saying anything bad about the person or people, but this car needs a motor. The car needs a motor. I'm cursing at the situation. So, but let's pull some things off. I know that story probably was all convoluted and stuff and everywhere, but you know, it's just a little bit of frustration. This first car I'm working on this morning, and you know, I thought it was gonna be, I knew it wasn't gonna be simple, but you know, I'm like, oh, okay, let's, you know, get to start doing some regular diagnosing. But this is an obvious classic sign of neglect. So since we're diagnosing it, we're gonna simply pull the oil control valves off, inspect the oil control valves. Hope this one is pretty accessible in the front. So we'll pull that off. We're going to look at that since the back was replaced. The thing is, I don't have the original ones, and the original ones tell the story about how the overall condition of the engine was. So even though that one's faulty, it probably be worth pulling that out, pulling the exhaust out anyway, and pulling the intake out and comparing them. Because it really seemed like some type of obstruction, being that there's signs of metal shavings inside the oil pan. There's going to be metal everywhere in here. So, and if there's metal everywhere in here, there's it's accompanied by noise. There's some severely worn parts. So this needs a motor. It's really not worth going really in depth, but just for the sake of a I don't even want to call it like a pre-autopsy, but just skimming the surface, seeing what happened. You know, let's see what it looks like at the oil control valves. Being that they have screens, it's integral for variating the actuators, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to pull the oil filter off too to see what it looks like. So this car is not going to get repaired today, but it's just this is a rant video, I guess. But this is just what happens when we neglect our cars. You know, a lot of times oil changes can fix the vehicles. And I mean, being that seeing how black this oil is, it's obvious that this oil wasn't changed on normal intervals. Work on pulling this connector off first. Oh shit, screwing up. Just to get a better view of things. Pull that off. Now, to get this intake off, there's just one star bit at the bottom down here. T30 I got knocked on there. Cool. So here is the intake side of the screen. There is plenty of metal. So there's metal shavings on the intake side. Take this and wipe that off. You can see how clumped up it is. One thing I could do also, when I take out the oil control valve for the exhaust side, just take it out and let it run, and we should see oil flow through. Sometimes you might have to put a rag in there to keep it from making a mess. I'm gonna do that with the front and see if there's any oil flowing smoothly. And I'm gonna leave the camera where it is, so we can all get a look, see what that looked like if you was to just leave it be. So I might need to put a rag up here though. Start up and let me do that. Get another rag. Sometimes what it'll do, it'll flush some of the particulates out if there's any type of obstruction. Whatever's broken is broken, so it's not going to hurt anything with the oil control valve being out. Let it run along, but off, so idle poorly. So yeah, there's more metal coming out. What I'm going to do now is probably pull the rear screen out. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pull that out anyway. Pull that out, inspect that, and go to the oil filter afterwards. After we get a good look at this and conclude this video. The oil control valve for the exhaust side is going to be in the back here. This one requires a 10 millimeter, being that it was replaced already with an aftermarket one. Unlike the front, that required a star bit. I'm going to get a new rag. Alright, this side of here, hopefully. This one should come out a lot easier since I can grab the body. Oh wow. Golly, look how much metal is on this one. And this one was replaced recently. That is ridiculous. No card tricks here, people. This was a brand new rag. That is ridiculous. Now, what I could do the same thing. Whatever's trash is in there is in there. Put a rag back in there. Start it up. Let it get whatever's in there out. And, you know, maybe it'll run better. I'm going to do the same thing. Clean this off. There's a lot of metal in this motor. I mean, again, this motor needs to be replaced. So this is, I mean, you can make a necklace with all this motor. I said motor. You can make a necklace with all this shavings that's coming out of this motor. Got my oil filter pulled out. And immediately you can see, I don't know how well the camera's picking up, but there's metal flakes inside there. And this oil filter feels like it's stopped up. Alright, got another rag. Flip it over. See, it's clean. I'm going to flip the rag over on top of the oil filter and drain the oil. Let's see what that looks like. It would have been so much easier if it was a cartridge filter, but unfortunately, this has a, oh shit, has a regular spin on. Yeah, I can see plenty of flakes up in here. See if I can get this without hitting the pan. Oh shucks. man, making a mess. So there's more metal chunks. These are really big grits of metal here. If I rub my finger across the rag here, it feels slightly abrasive. Will be pretty interesting to cut this filter open, but if I cut it open, I don't know if the metal, let me figure something out. It's a cool thing, I was able to get it cut open and not hit the filter, so that worked out. So I don't have to get any type of confusion with the metal from me cutting it. And the oil filter. Cool. Now there's plenty of metal at the bottom down here, but again, I don't. This can't be me cutting into it, because I mean, we see how far that cover was recessed in there. So this is the metal that's in there. You can see plenty of it. Plenty. See if I can filter this out. Get that off of there. Hang. Take another rag. And I can't imagine all that being for me though. Huh. That's all the metal inside of there. This motor just gonna need to be replaced. That's all that is. Alright. I got a new filter on here. I just had a, when I do oil changes, I just threw another one I had on here. If they're paying for our diagnostic fee, I mean, no more than what the cost of an oil filter is. I'm just gonna throw one on there. It's really cheap. So, and just as cheap as the oil filter was, she could have kept her car alive. She would have kept her oil change lightly. I don't think this was just from sudden failure. This was just neglect. So let's start it up, see if it make any change. Still gonna make quite a bit of noise. Stand back a little bit. It's been running for about 4 minutes. I just had to get my stuff cleaned up. There hasn't been any change in the running condition, so let's shut it down. So yeah, simply put, I mean, this car is just going to need a motor. I hate that she wasted some money in putting the oil control valve in there when the check-in light was on for it, but no, I understand to a degree. People naturally want to just, change parts when check-in lights popped on, when they pop on. So I mean, it happens, and depending on if it's a common fix and that doesn't require any really extensive diagnosing, I can understand throwing a part at it. But this was obvious. I mean, it had a lot of noise. There was metal on the dipstick, metal on the oil control valve, metal in the oil filter, and even the guy pulling the oil control valve out, oil control solenoid out. I mean, it was been obvious, like, oh well, there's metal here. The motor's bad. There shouldn't be that much metal on those screens, accompanied with the noise. So there's you're gonna have some metal inside those screens, some, but normally it's gonna be like some type of sludge buildup from neglect. And I mean, obviously this car has been neglected to the point where the oil filter stopped up, and it probably had to utilize the bypass, and all that, those metal particulates got through the filtration, and this is what we got. And if it got through the pleats, or had to bypass because it was stopped up, it'll get into the bearings, get into the journals, and it'll just cause excessive clearances, and you'll get knocking like what we got. So, I mean, it happens. This is, I guess, the lesson we're taking away is the importance of keeping the oil change. Sorry, I had a phone call come in. But this car just needs a motor. It's obvious from everything we went through and looked at and observed. And it's unfortunate, but hey, things happen. I'm pretty sure this car is probably still being paid on. So in a way, usually when it happens, people are like obligated to make or put a motor in the car just to cut their losses. But we'll see what happens. I hope my place is open. It's New Year's Day, so getting numbers or quotes or anything are probably going to be out of question. But other than that, we'll see what happens. Keep your oil change in your vehicles. You likely won't run into this problem. Hopefully it's help somebody out. And if I do have to put a motor in here, probably may put an update, probably might not, don't know. And you're not going to know if you're not subscribed to the channel. So hit that link, subscribe to the channel, stay informed, and have that reassurance of my work. See you on the next one.